The average marriage in America lasts, want to take a guess? 12 years. 12 years. So now imagine you're at the altar, you're looking in the eyes of your beloved, and at the end of the ceremony, instead of saying, I now pronounce you husband and wife, or husband and husband, or wife and wife, or throuple and throuple, whatever, till death do you part, the substitute is for 12 years. Really? No, I don't think so. I think you are in it to win it. But you absolutely can't do that unless you learn how to talk about money. Hey, do you want to know how to have better money fights? Better money fights. I'm not saying no money fights. I'm talking about how you manage money as a couple and how you get better at fighting with each other about money. Don't lie to Granny. There are a couple of things that I know are going on with you early in your marriage. Either you're having fights that just come up out of nowhere. Suddenly, there's like a big dust up and it's over something like,
you bought what? You want to do what? You want to spend what?
Or,
I can't believe that you didn't keep track of the fact that we were going to go incur an overcharge because we didn't have enough money.
blah, 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 blah. You're either fighting or one of you is just opted out. And you know what I'm guessing? I'm guessing it's you. Because what you want is to keep the peace. And maybe you don't even know how to talk about money and you don't know how to work as a couple on money. So what do? You just don't say anything. You don't get involved. Do you not want to talk about money? Okay, it is your choice. But if you don't listen to Granny, here's the deal. The average marriage in America lasts 12 years. 12 years. So now imagine you're at the altar, you're looking in the eyes of your beloved, and at the end of the ceremony, instead of saying, I now pronounce you husband and wife, or husband and husband, or wife and wife, or throuple and throuple, whatever, till death do you part, the substitute is for 12 years. Really? No, I don't think so. I think you are in it to win it. But you cannot do that unless you learn how to talk about money. You just have to talk about it. I don't care how traditional you are. Even if you feel, by whatever customs you're dealing with, that one person makes all the decisions, you still gotta talk about it. You gotta use your voice, and you have to figure out how not to fight. Okay, how to have better fights about money. That's what I promised you. There is only one way to do that. There's only one way to do that. And I'm not talking about getting gloves with extra padding. And I'm not talking about getting one of those things that you punch and it falls down and having your spouse's name written on it. No. One rule. And the rule is, when you learn to communicate with each other about money, when you learn to really seriously talk to each other about money, you're not going to fight about it as much. And you're not going to have those brutal smackdowns that escalate into all the stuff you were hanging on to that you didn't even remember about.
You remember when we were dating and then you took me to a fancy restaurant and you wouldn't agree to split the bill and I picked it up and blah, blah, blah. And I think I paid 37 more cents at the grocery store than you have.
Suddenly, out of nowhere, when you start fighting, all this blech, emotional vomit comes up. And no wonder people who hold it down too long choke to death on it. No wonder the number is 12 years, because you can only hold those feelings in for so long and then you slug it out. Fighting about money is the number 2 reason people get divorced. Fighting about money is the number 2 reason people get divorced, right behind infidelity. They're stepping out. We'll talk about that another time. But fighting about money is a really accurate predictor of how healthy your marriage is. When you are able to manage money together as a couple, that's like a high score. It's like when you go to the doctor and they take your blood pressure and they check your pulse and they look for signs of health. If you went to a relationship coach and they were checking off your marriage's vital signs, one of the things that they would know immediately took you out of test range and meant you were in trouble was, can you communicate about money? And if the answer is no, you're in trouble, but Granny's gonna fix it for you. I wanna make this easy. I'm only gonna give you 3 things, and they all have to do with communication. You have to communicate about your dreams. No secrets about your dreams. You have to really communicate about your dreams, even the ones you're a little bit embarrassed about that kind of feel like maybe they're not so appropriate or you really can't or whatever. I mean, for me it was, I really wanted to take dance lessons with Pop-Pops, but I was carrying a lot of shame around being clumsy. People had told me I was clumsy. So I had a dream of dancing. I didn't tell him that was a dream. And so how's he gonna know, right? Communicate about your dreams. The second thing is you have to make plans together. Gotta plan. I'm not saying that you can't be spontaneous. I'm not saying that life isn't good where you just have something exciting happen in the moment. I'm saying that you have to communicate. You have to communicate about plans if you want to keep it together. And the third thing is a tough one, and that is you have to have a couple's money management routine. It's sort of like when you go to the dentist and they're cleaning your teeth. There's no lying about, have you had a good oral health routine? Have you been brushing? Have you been flossing your teeth? There is no hiding it, right? It is the same thing with the routine around not just who pays the bills, how they get paid, when they get paid, but a routine around how do you communicate about dreams and plans and goals, and how do you keep track of where you are without a routine? You can't. It's not the kind of thing that happens spontaneously. Now here's the good part. When I thought about it, I was thinking something I wish I had had when I got married. Well, the first time when I got married, we fought, it blew up, that was the end of that. In my lasting love marriage, early on we had a lot of financial fights. And it took me a while to figure out a system for how we could make it longer, how we could have productive conversations about money. And I thought, there is nothing out there that tells people how to do this. Anyway, nothing I could find that wasn't too formal, that didn't feel too difficult, that didn't read like it was written by one of my business school teachers that made me start daydreaming in class. There wasn't anything that spoke to me. So I wrote an ebook, and guess what? It's a present for you. It's a gift. You're going to be able to get it. You're going to get it for free. I know you're thinking,
is Granny gonna scam me?
Nah, that's just not who I am. I don't want to do that. I'm not gonna do that. I just am giving you a present. And there are more to come because I know you need it. So the book goes through a process, and because the book is more than 30 some pages long, I'm just gonna break down kind of what it covers so you can get a feel for not if you're gonna commit to it, but how you're gonna commit to it. Because this is not a beach read. This is not a book you read when you're in the bath. It's a self-care moment. You're surrounded by candles. It sounds pretty good. No. This is a book that is to help you do something. This is Granny partnering with you through the vehicle of words to get off your bottom? Tata? I don't know what to call it. Get off your rear, hiney, glutes, and rev into action. So there are 3 elements. The first one is a lot of guidance on how to find out what your shared values are. Really critical. Your shared values, your shared goals, your shared dreams. all of the stuff that goes into what makes you who you are. So you can find out where that's an overlap with your beloved and where it isn't. And the process of finding that stuff is a lifelong process. It changes over time. And so this is just your first archaeological dig, where you're digging into yourself and finding out how you really feel, what you really want, because you can't be a good partner to them unless you do you. The second thing is translating all that stuff into dollars, yen, Bitcoin, whatever is money in your world. Everything that you want costs money. So there's a system in the Granny ebook about love and money for you to help start translating, what do I want? How much is that going to cost? And to do that before you have that internal editor that says,
I can't afford it, I can't afford it, I can't afford it, we can't afford it.
well, maybe you can afford it. Maybe once you start putting numbers on it, you can afford it if you start thinking about what that number really is, because that's the only way you're going to get to aligning your budgets and your current spending habits with the dream. So I take you through how to start attaching dollar signs to dream images. Then you're going to set yourself some goals. You're going to set some goals of what's important to you 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and I want to say 40 years from now. Oh, that seems like it's so far away. It is and it isn't. You are reading now about baby boomers, people my age, and how many people can't afford to retire. Well, for me, retirement obviously is not a goal. I think retirement sucks. I'm happy to work. But a lot of people aren't happy to work. They aren't able to work. They want something else. They could have gotten to that dream if they had a goal for that dream. If they had a goal that was, this is what I need to retire. 30 years ago, there was someone I knew. She had a child. She and her husband had all sorts of smaller goals, but their big, hairy goal, the one that was like top of mind for her, was, we need $5 million to retire. Oh, I mean, those of you who are in other countries, those of you who are struggling to pay off your student loans, those of you who are thinking about your kids' college, you're going to think I am living in La La Land. Well, she at that time was working for not a big salary, had a child, had a husband. It was like that goal knocked me off my chair. I was thinking,
No way, it is not going to happen. That's too big a goal.
I accidentally caught up with her and is like, hey, so did you hit your retirement goal? And the answer was, no, she did not. She retired with more. Yep, stock market has been friendly in the U.S. She hit her number and blew past it. There you go. You got to have a goal. You have to have several goals. And in the book, I teach you how to think about setting those up. Now, the final stage of the process, which we go through in more detail, is keeping track of your progress. I call it a financial GPS. We're very reliant on Waze now because it tells us, are we going the right way? Are we not going the right way? There are a ton of ways now to keep track of whether or not you're making progress towards your goal. Once you set it and you've got a number, there are all kinds of ways you can keep track of how are you doing, how are you doing, how are you doing. Are there going to be bumps along the way that knock you off your progress? Absolutely. I mean, just like on Waze, there are accidents that suddenly turn up. That happens in life too. Somebody gets sick, somebody gets laid off. But if you have a way to track it, you know that you're going to get back on the route and you're going to be able to track your progress again, because if you can't track your progress, you're not going to hit your goal. If you can't track your progress, you're not going to hit your goal. And that's true if it's like, I need to pick up the kids in 37 minutes, or I need $1 million to retire 30 years from now. Whatever your goal is, you got to know what your progress is. And I have absolute research suggestions on how to keep track of your progress in the book. And then once you learn how to do this, it's rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. this is part of what you're going to be doing for the rest of your lives together. You are going to be Olympic class, world class money management couple, because you're going to know the basics of how to do it, and then you'll just do it over and over. I was thinking about it the other day. Pop-Pops and I had to go to marriage counselors, I guess 3 times in our marriage. And one time we had to go because we were really fighting about money. We were just really hammer and tong at it. And we were so worked up. Our therapists knew each other. They called each other and they got in a fight about where we were with money. It just still cracks me up. It was like this fight virus that spreads the way bad energy does have a tendency to do. So now I'm thinking, when was the last time we fought about money? Honestly, I can't remember. I cannot remember. We talk about it, we communicate about it, we have different ideas about it, but fighting about it, we just don't. We just have the tools now we need to work it out. We have 9 years left until our 50th. I think we're going to hit it. And that's pretty cool. Is what I'm talking to you about going to be easy? Absolutely not. It is not. Is it going to be as hard as getting a divorce? Nope, it's not. It's not going to damage your soul, your body, your psyche, your life, your everyone the way that a contentious divorce does. Sometimes you need to get a divorce. I get that. But you don't need to get a divorce because you're fighting about money. That is a fixable problem. So, get the book. Get the book. Let me know. Ask me questions. Love you.